Good morning and welcome to Waking Up with Don. This morning we're waking up at the Panama City Publishing Museum and Visitor Center here in St. Andrews, and I'm with Director?
Rob Rosner.
Oh, I know your name, Rob. What's your title?
St. Andrews CRA Program Director.
CRA
Program
Director, St. Andrews.
That's right.
Okay, now this is a really cool place. I mean,
Yes.
prior to starting the show, you kind of gave me the tour here.
Yes.
And I'm just fascinated with history. And that's part of your mission here, is to preserve the history of St. Andrews, isn't it?
Yes. This museum was bought in 2005 and renovated in 2007 and opened in 2008. We got a grant from the state to renovate it and bring it back to an original condition. And so
you got a grant from the state
Yes.
through the CRA. Now, a lot of people might be confused on what a CRA actually is and what it does. Can you kind of give me a real brief description of that?
I'd be happy to. CRA stands for Community Redevelopment Agency. Our mission is to revitalize and redevelop St. Andrews. There are boundaries that make up the CRA area, and we use TIF dollars to do that. TIF stands for Tax Increment Financing. And what that means is everything in this area starting from 1989 on, anything above the base tax rate is saved to be used for redeveloping St. Andrews. So we use those dollars on an annual basis, and we have a 30-year window to do that. We're in year 25 right now. So we've been working on this for the past 25 years. So if you remember St. Andrews from many years ago, it's come a long way.
Yeah.
We've done streetscape projects. One of our big projects that we've needed to do is there was a lack of parking down here, so we own 3 parking lots down here. We've done the streetscape in 2000. We bought this building to preserve the history. This building was originally owned by George M. West, who was the founder of the city. And he passed away in 1926. He built this building in 1920.
So your mission is not only to preserve the history here, but just to make life better here in St. Andrews.
Absolutely, and the idea is to use the tax dollars that are collected here in this area only, as opposed to going just to the general fund and used for the entire city.
Well, I think a lot of people love that idea. You'll see immediate results in your local area from your tax dollars rather than see it go somewhere else,
Right.
around town or around the state or wherever.
And what we do is we have monthly meetings. We have them on the first Tuesday of the month at 7 a.m. And we have an advisory committee called the Historic St. Andrews Waterfront Partnership. And they're a nonprofit 501c3 that acts as an advisory committee for the CRA, but then they carry on other missions that include event planning, and we have a contract, which we'll introduce John in a little bit. We have a contract with them to provide a museum coordinator and a market coordinator. And so the CRA supports that through tax dollars to keep these events going, to bring more economic development down here through the market and through these events that we do.
I know there's a lot of stuff going on here now.
Yes.
Love the market. Love the idea of being able to park your car and stroll along. I mean, this is really kind of a cool place,
Yes.
St. Andrews, to hang out.
Yes, and as a matter of fact, the city's logo that's based on this whole thing was based on the sunset. Most people like to come down to watch the sunset in St. Andrews because we face west.
There's a lot of cool stuff going on here. And let's drill down into that after our local weather, brought to you by the West Pittman Law Firm. westpittmanlawfirm.com. Welcome back to the show, and thanks for sticking with us. I'm here in St. Andrews at the Panama City Publishing Museum
And Visitor Center.
and Visitor Center, which is very cool. I mean, this was, no kidding, a print shop for a long time.
Right, until
where they printed
2005.
newspapers. Now I've got Rob Rosner and I've got John Carabolito here. Did I say your name right, John?
Carbolito.
Carbolito. I mess it up every time. But at any rate, John, which is pretty easy to pronounce. What are your duties here? Now, Rob had told us about the purpose of the CRA. Now, you're the guy who's kind of on the front lines making all these things happen.
That's right. I actually represent the St. Andrews Waterfront Partnership, and we deliver events in St. Andrews that builds community, essentially, and protects and preserves the history of what's here in St. Andrews. So I oversee the museum and the operation of that, as well as the events that we have respectively throughout the course of the year here in St. Andrews.
So if somebody wanted to just come to the museum, can we just pop in? Do we need to make an appointment to get a tour, or how's all that work?
Popping in would be between 1 p.m. and 5:30 p.m. Tuesday through Friday, as well as 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. on Saturdays. And yes, please pop on in. Our museum is free, as are our free guided tours that we offer every Wednesday and Friday at 2:30 p.m.
Wednesday and Friday, we get a free guided tour of the museum or all of St. Andrews?
Well, we start at the museum and we end at the museum, but we do take a 7/10 walk around St. Andrews.
So it's a walking tour, historic
That's
St.
correct.
Andrews.
It's about an hour and a half in length, and because, of course, we're coming into spring as well as summer, dress comfortably. It's a low cardio workout, and we'll stop along the way, but it's an enjoyable tour where we cover 14 historic sites.
Now you have volunteers that take you around, but you're finding new innovative ways to get people engaged in the history of St. Andrews with walking tours. I understand you have some sort of phone app now.
We do. On our website, which is historicstandrews.com, you can scroll to the bottom and it says walking tour. When you open it up, there are 14 audio files that are consistent with the guidebook itself, representing 1 through 14 sites. And you can put your phone on speaker and have an audio tour and take a self-tour anytime you would like.
So if you come here and there's no volunteer available, or you get here at the wrong time and the place is closed, you can just go to your phone, go to your website, which is what again?
historicstandrews.com.
historicstandrews.com. Scroll down, look for the walking tour, plug yourself in and take a walk.
That's right. And it's perfect when you have family and friends in town because, of course, it's really well done. And you can maybe even do it and appreciate the sunset at the same time, which is great.
Yeah, timing is everything when it comes to sunsets, isn't it? So you got to come down here. Now, who are the people who come here? Are they tourists? Are they locals? I mean, who are your clientele? Who enjoys this the most?
Well, all of the above. We do have many people in our local community here that want to be educated about things in their own backyard, so they walk in the door quite often. Of course, over the course of the year, specifically winter, we have a lot of people coming down from the north that visit us as well, and people that are visiting St. Andrews happen to stumble upon us by accident, and it's a pleasant discovery for them, so it's great.
Yeah, and I got to tell you, just generating that kind of foot traffic, there are second and third order effects for the businesses down here.
Absolutely.
That I would like to talk with you about after this commercial break. We've got to run off to your Max Biz tip brought to you by Zenobia. We'll be right back.
Hello, Zenobia Andrews here, your business system strategist, and I wanted to personally invite you to my upcoming event entitled Max Out Business Lab Training Volume 3. It's entitled Make Money, Work Less by Mastering Business Systems. That's right, business systems. You say systems? Yes. I'm here to share with you that business systems are hot. They are hot and juicy. So I am personally inviting you to meet me here April the 26th, 2014 from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. right here in the Max Out Studios. I only have spaces or spots available for 25 people. So if you think that's you, I ask you to meet me here. The registration cost is only $69 up until February the 28th. $69. You can afford that, right? It's going to be an amazing time. I'm going to be sharing with you how to leverage business systems, how to become a business systems thinker. I'm going to also revealing to you my max out methodology on how to create business systems. We're going to be talking about sales automated systems, client attraction. Who can use more clients, right? Yes, business systems are hot. You want to make sure that you are here. All you have to do if you want to register today, right now, is go to my website, www.zenoviaandrews.com. I am here to support you, and let's continue to press towards the max.
It's time for your pet health tip of the week. So I'm here at Forest Park Animal Hospital with Dr. Stephen Favaloro, and we're going to talk about arthritis in your pets. Doc, I guess your pets can get arthritis just like humans do.
Absolutely. In fact, they say 1 in 5 pets have arthritis, and it's something that we see on a regular basis. The most common cause of arthritis is going to be trauma. But there are some congenital reasons, birth abnormalities like hip dysplasia that will lead to arthritis later, elbow dysplasia. So these are, angular deformities. These are things that we'll see that'll cause arthritis, and we can see it at a young age, depending if it's due to congenital or if it's due to trauma. Certainly we see it in most older patients as well.
You hear a lot about hip dysplasia, particularly among older breeds, or bigger breeds rather. Are some breeds more susceptible to arthritis, or is it pretty much even across the board?
Well, there are certain breeds that like your field trial, your fly ball dogs and things like that, they are, very active, running around. They have a tendency to put their joints through a lot of wear and tear. Large breed dogs in general, like, everybody knows Labs, Dobermans, things like that, they're prone to hip dysplasia. A lot of it is hereditary. And then, of course, small breed dogs, we see a lot of hip luxation, knee luxations where the kneecaps pop in and out, and that's usually, more in the fact that their shin bone's a little bowed and it pulls the patella over. We'll see hip dysplasia in small breed dogs too, but their weight is generally, if they're not too overweight, then they don't put a lot of pressure on those hips and elbows, so it doesn't cause as much problems.
So just like humans, if you've got a weight issue, you may be putting extra stress on your joints.
Absolutely. Arthritis in itself is, it's generally a chronic disease, and there's a lot of inflammation that's going on. And what it does, it starts to erode the cartilage and eventually wears down to the bone. And then as that's happening, you also get a proliferation or a production of bone around the joint, and that also causes discomfort and inflammation. So there's things that will make it worse, like obesity will make it worse. If your dogs don't exercise a whole lot, then they go out and play real quick, make a sudden move, their body's not used to it. We'll see a lot of injuries that way.
Now, how will pet owners detect that? Is it boiled down to behaviors again, just observing your
it really does, and it depends. I mean, it's pretty obvious when the dog goes in the backyard, running, playing, and it comes back and it's non-weight bearing, in a leg. So, if it's not a soft tissue injury, then a lot of times, like a muscle or something like that, then, a joint, and one of the biggest things that we see are knees. That's the most common orthopedic injury we see in dogs. Yeah. Cats we see when they get older, they tend to have a lot of elbow issues, from jumping down, absorbing the impact of the land, and they're, pretty agile creatures. They'll jump from a very high distance down, and so we'll see a lot of arthritis in cats as well, in the back, just by the way they crouch and, the way they, lunge and things.
So if you start to see a difference in your pet's behavior and you suspect he may have a joint issue or she may have a joint issue or arthritis, what do? We bring them to you, and what would be the remedy for that?
And before we get to that, I'd say, arthritis will kind of manifest itself, in a lot of different ways as far as how it's presented. Because if it's a slow process, you may just notice that, your pet just seems like it's getting a little bit older. They tend not to move around as much. They tend not to jump up and down off the furniture or go up and down the stairs, and they'll tend to be a little bit apprehensive, or if you go to touch them somewhere, they may kind of growl at you or kind of yelp before you even got to touch them as far as apprehension.
You try to pick them up and they're uncomfortable.
Absolutely, absolutely. But there are a lot of things that your veterinarian could do for arthritis. A lot of weight management, number one. Number two, there's chondroprotectants like glucosamine, chondroit, and you have MSM that you could use. So these are things that will give the body the building blocks, if you will, necessary to thicken joint fluid and reproduce joint cartilage. Then there's the non-steroidals that help block pain and mediate inflammation. And these things do have their side effects. They can affect the liver and the kidneys. So you upset the stomach. So your your vet's going to want to make sure the kidneys and liver are okay.
Are there any other therapies that you can use besides
you can?
medication?
There's acupuncture's been around for a while. I think there certainly
Acupuncture
is.
for animals.
I certainly think there is a place for that. Absolutely. And also, there's a cold laser therapy that's out now too, where you have this device that sends continuous waves of joules of energy into a target tissue, and it does it for so many seconds depending on what you're treating. And what it does is it increases the ATP, or the energy that the cells need to recover, and it will really stimulate, in a large percentage of dogs and cats, growth in that area, even if it's a chronic area.
So I guess the bottom line is keep an eye on your pet, observe their behaviors, and if they're acting a little differently or look like they're in pain, bring them to the veterinarian.
Absolutely.
That was your pet health tip for the week with Dr. Stephen Favaloro, and we'll get another one next week. Welcome back to the show, and thanks for sticking with us. We're in historic St. Andrews, and I'm talking to two of the gentlemen here who are really at the tip of the spear when it comes to revitalizing this area. John, we had talked about the walking tour that you guys conduct here, and the app for your phone. If there's no one here to give that walking tour, you can do it yourself. Why is foot traffic so important down here?
Well, it's important because we are regentrifying Beck Avenue. That's the intention behind the partnership between the City of Panama City and St. Andrews Waterfront Partnership. And foot traffic helps that to go ahead and take the next step in regards to having this become revitalized. We have plenty of thresholds here of businesses and agencies, organizations that feed off of the community involvement, and with the foot traffic we have and the marketing that goes with that, produces that.
So basically, if people know something's going on down here and they're strolling along, they're going to be stopping in shops, right? They'll be having lunch or dinner or whatever. I mean, so just it has all these second and third order effects that we talked about in the last segment that is just good for business.
Absolutely.
And it kind of is self-perpetuating, because if business does good, you know, they can pay their taxes.
That's
and if
right.
they're paying their taxes, they keep you guys going, and it just gets bigger and better all the time.
Well, that's the intention, is to revitalize through economic development and to promote these events so that people have a reason to come down to St. Andrews. So,
Rob, what do you think success looks like for this area? I mean, if you could just, you know, either one of you, John or Rob, what do you think success would look like for St. Andrews?
you want to answer that one first?
I will. To
Trick
begin
question.
with,
I do that sometimes.
one of the events that we have that I think
Yeah.
success for me is embodied in is the success of the St. Andrews Waterfront Farmers Market. Come on down about 11 o'clock on a Saturday and you will be able to see the community gathering, people coming together, people smiling.
I've actually come to that with my
Saying hello to
wife and my
neighbors,
son.
making new friends. I mean,
Yeah.
that's really what it's about. And the event is really the byproduct, but the product is really bringing community together in a place. I mean, come on, we live in historic St. Andrews, gorgeous view. Not many places have what we have here.
And I remember getting fresh produce when we came down here, arts and crafts. I bought some honey, some raw honey. I mean, there's a lot of cool stuff.
There's live
Yeah.
music. We have plenty to eat while we're there. And we have gorgeous weather and a beautiful location.
Yeah, you sure do. So do you see that getting any bigger, or are we at the optimum size now? Or
Well, it is, and
Yeah.
believe it or not, we've actually broken records with our attendance, having our first winter that we'd been open previously January through March. So anytime that you come on down here, we have nearly 60, if not over 60 tents set up in one location currently over in the Smith Yacht Basin, and we just have a lot of people coming together enjoying themselves.
hey, Rob, you had mentioned earlier that because of all this traffic down here, parking was an issue, but that was
Right.
something that CRA actually solved.
That's exactly right. The CRA plan has called for 220 spaces that were needed down here. And we have bought 3 parking lots over the past 15 years, and one of those being right behind Hunt's here, another one at the boat ramp, and one off of 10th Street.
So there's really no excuse not to come down here on a
That's
Saturday to
that's
enjoy
exactly.
the market.
We want you to come park, and it's a very walkable community. We want you to come in, walk around, visit the businesses, enjoy the 13 to 15 restaurants that we have down here and the dozens of shops that we have here as well.
Now we got to run off to a break. Let's talk more about that on the other side of these messages. Welcome back to the show. I'm here at historic St. Andrews, and I'm with Beth, Justin, and John, who is the market coordinator. Now, you two guys are volunteers, right, Beth?
Yes, we are.
And do you give the that tour that we talked about in the last
on,
segment?
on Fridays I do the walking tour that starts here in the building and then goes all around the historic St. Andrews and then ends up back in the building.
What do you get out of it as a volunteer?
Oh, it's fantastic because you get to meet a lot of different people and they come in and actually share information. It's like some people, like there was a lady from Quebec whose father worked on the linotype, and she was telling us about the issue of lead poisoning that these workers
Oh,
had,
yeah.
and, you know, and just things. There was a man from Germany who was a printer and was just so excited to see that we had a Heidelberg in here. So you get to
That's pretty
and
cool.
then share with them the history of St. Andrews.
Does that go for you too, Justin? You meet a lot of interesting people doing these tours?
Oh yeah. I actually had a group of 12 people from Canada come down, and you know they were actually all printers, so they were all ecstatic.
Oh,
to be in this
wow.
printing museum.
So it was like a group of printers actually came to a printing museum.
Yep, and they were
Yeah.
excited because they didn't. At first, they didn't know what it was, but then they came in and they said, "Oh, we offer a walking tour," and they were all excited. So I got to take some cool people to go.
So they
around.
must have really been in their element in this place,
Oh, yeah.
and then they got to enjoy it. And then and then John, you get groups like that come here. They go back home to Quebec or wherever, or Germany, and they're like, really cool place, St. Andrews.
Oh,
You
absolutely.
get repeat visitors that way?
We do, as well as we get referrals, which is even more important for us, I believe, because we want to be able to share it with a wider expanse. So people go home, they go home thousands of miles away, and they are referred back here, and then these people share it with us that they were referred by previous guests. So it's so important to us, and through the efforts of the volunteers that we have, we're able to do this, and I think we do it effectively and do it so well.
You know, when people think of this region, they think Panama City Beach, they think spring break, they think, just beaches and beer and crazy stuff. But, if you're a family or you're an older couple or just, young people who don't want to be wrapped up in that scene, this is a really good alternative to that, isn't it?
It is. There's so much about this area. We want people to understand that we are a destination. St. Andrews is a place that you should go, and then of course the surrounding areas have much to offer as well. But there's so much to see here as a destination, and it's important for us to be able to illustrate that to people as they visit our area.
John, I know we just scratched the surface of all that you do here. If people wanted to learn more about St. Andrews, where could they go?
Well, our website is historicstandrews.com. They can visit us at the museum at 1134 Beck Avenue, or they can simply call 850-872-7208.
John, guys, thanks for all the great work that you do that make this area such a wonderful place to live and work. And good luck to you, John, and we'll come back, and you guys are welcome on the show anytime. The next big thing that comes up, give me a call because I'll be there.
Thank you very much, Don. Appreciate it.
You've been watching Waking Up with Don. I'm here in historic St. Andrews, and I'll see you next time.